Welcome back. This is going to be kind of a split show. It's half Microphone Monday and half Transformer Spotlight. On the one hand, this has information about the voiceover business and jobs that you wouldn't necessarily think of for a normal gig for voice actors, but it also has a lot of information for you Transformers lovers out there. And as always, it's brought to you by the amazing RippedApparel.com, who supplied this amazing t-shirt that combined Grand Theft Auto and Mario Kart, which is really freaking awesome. And you can get one print, but it's only available for 24 hours, so you got to check it out, RippedApparel.com. Today, my guest is Rick Sellers, and you would probably know him best for getting a great quote online for car insurance as the General, but you might also recognize him from other places like the Transformers toys. So my guest is Rick Sellers. If you would give us kind of a short background on how you got from where you were to where you are now.
Well, I began as a commercial artist, and I did toy design. I was doing stuff for American Greetings Corporation, had a division called Amtoy. They did the Mad Balls toys. I'm sure you've probably seen those, or Popples, Strawberry Shortcake, a whole slew of different products. And the folks that I was working with knew that I did crazy voices, you know, weird stuff, talking dogs or whatever. And they asked if I would be interested in doing some voice work for various video projects to pitch ideas for toys to various toy companies. That's how it started. After that, I went ahead and cut a demo tape back in the day and sent that out to various ad agencies. And after maybe a week or so, I got a few phone calls. And the first job that I landed was the General for A1 Insurance Company way back in '98. So I've been doing the General all this time, and it's been a great gig and a lot of fun, and I get to do all kinds of cool stuff.
You know I'm going to ask this. We got to hear the General. Everybody's going to want to hear it.
For the best car insurance rates in town, call 1-800-GENERAL now!
That's awesome.
It's very cool. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So what led to doing the voice work for Hasbro on Star Wars and Transformers?
Well, I had friends that were in the design industry, and I had a buddy that was up at Kenner who moved to Hasbro, and he was the head of Boys Action. And I went ahead and I did a Star Wars demo tape where I did various characters from the films, and they consequently were doing a line of action figures for Attack of the Clones, the second of the prequels. They needed a voiceover talent to do Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was the young Ewan McGregor, and Jango Fett, which was the clone from Boba Fett, or Boba Fett was cloned from Jango. And at the time, they did not have audio clips of either Obi-Wan or Jango, so it was a little tricky to do it. Jango in particular, because I thought he would sound like Boba Fett from Empire. So when I did my version of Jango Fett for the toy, it sounds like Boba Fett. If you press the button, it sounds pretty much like, "He's no good to me, dead. What if he doesn't survive?" That stuff, which is all from Empire Strikes Back. So it was a lot of fun. It's sort of a little-known fact of Star Wars toydom.
Before you get into the Transformers stuff, that's one thing we actually have in common, is that I was the voice of a couple of Anakin toys, and I was also the voice of a couple of Captain Rex toys. So that's cool. If you guys don't know, the way Hasbro works is that they don't hire the original actors for the toys or for the commercials. If you watch very closely to like the YouTube ads from Hasbro's official Transformers channel, or even the stuff on television, they'll use a clip from the show, but if you listen closely, they're using voice match artists like us instead of the original actors. That way they get out of having to pay them extra and worrying about residuals. They don't have to worry about that with non-union stuff. So that was back when some of my very first work was Star Wars. That was on my bucket list of things to do, was to work on a Star Wars project and to be the voice of a toy, so I killed two birds with one stone.
Very cool.
So were you obviously you knew about Star Wars, but were you a fan of Transformers or knew anything about the stuff before you actually started to work on it?
I was. Back in '84 when the show first came on the air, I was a fan then, and I didn't know Peter Cullen's name, but I knew that I liked the show, and I figured out how to do him pretty well, and I wanted to do work for Hanna-Barbera back in those days. So I put together a tape with my version of Optimus Prime, and I sent it to Andrea Romano, who's still working in the industry today.
Oh, yeah, everybody knows her.
Right. And I sent her a tape, and I got a phone call from her, and she said, "We love what you did. We love your Scooby-Doo. We love your Optimus Prime and all that good stuff. But those actors are still alive, and we don't for that. But if you want to come out, we'll put you to work." And back in those days, I was a kid, and I really probably wasn't adult enough to survive out in L.A., so I did not go out there. I wish I had now, but I didn't. But, you know, I learned to do them when I was younger, and as I got older, my voice got deeper, and I was more closely able to match him. And as a result, I added him in some of my character demo stuff, and that was sent to Hasbro. The head of electronic engineering, I think, heard me doing Peter Cullen and some of the Star Wars stuff. He passed my Star Wars characters off to the Star Wars team, and my Transformer stuff off to the Transformer guys, both at Play School and in Boys Action, and I began to get work from them. So that's kind of how it started.
This will be an inside joke because I have a feeling you're probably the only other one that will know anything about what I'm talking about. Did any one of the directors have you say release the Kraken?
No. Not
One of the toy designers that I worked with doing some of the voices, she said just to mess with the audio guys, no matter who is recording for what, she'll have them say in character, release the Kraken. So,
cool.
And she actually directed Peter Cullen. I believe it was for the second version of the movie helmet. So, and I put two and two together, and it dawned on me, somewhere out there, Optimus Prime's voice is saying, release the Kraken.
Right. The Kraken. Pretty cool.
Yeah, so just the fact that that audio clip is out there somewhere, that's pretty awesome. Speaking of Peter Cullen, you mentioned you actually got to work with him.
I did. I got a call from Bill Pockert up at Hasbro, and this was like 3 days before the gig, and he asked me if I would be willing to remotely listen in out at Dave and Dave Recording in Los Angeles, where Peter Cullen's, it's kind of his home studio. They had a session set up, and they needed somebody to listen in and direct and kind of make sure that all the copy got recorded. And he asked me if I would be willing to do it, and I jumped at it. I'm like, Bill, I love Peter Cullen, absolutely. It was a little daunting in that he's a movie star now, and I wasn't sure if he would be, what kind of a person he'd be like to work with, but he was amazingly cool. So it was a blast to do. It was a lot of copy. It was like a 2-hour session. Between the toy licensing copy that he did and then also stuff for various licensees like American Greetings, and all the lines had to be recorded, all the copy had to be done correctly, and he was a trooper. He ran through everything and didn't miss a beat. I mean, it was amazing.
That actually brings up a good point. A lot of people wouldn't exactly expect, it even kind of threw me off because I was like, oh yeah, there's voices for greeting cards now. So
Yeah.
How did that come about? Because I'm sure that is not exactly the first job that jumps into somebody's mind when they think I want to be a voice actor one day.
It's true, but there are between American Greetings Corporation and Hallmark Cards, they both have lines of audio cards. So some of them are song parodies that are, for a birthday or for an anniversary, or just humorous in general. And I do a lot of business with them where they'll call me. I'll come either in-house and do a singing dog or a talking gorilla or Optimus Prime stuff for the Transformers line. I've done airplane parodies, all kinds of crazy stuff that they need audio for. And in some cases, we have to completely recreate a movie clip that'll be eventually go into an ornament or a greeting card.
Oh yeah, ornaments. I didn't think about that either.
Yeah, I did the Transformers ornament where we had to completely recreate a scene between Optimus Prime and Megatron.
Now is that the clip that's on your SoundCloud that you sent me?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, I'll make sure to post that link in this video for everybody who wants to hear. And I've got to say, from somebody who has been doing Optimus Prime's voice religiously since I was 5. The Optimus Prime voice is really good, but the Megatron is dang near perfect. I was like, wow, that's really impressive.
Well, it was kind of a combination of the less than Hugo Weaving. I was more inspired by the cartoon. I like the guy that did the stuff for the old Optimus Prime. So. But yeah, I had to listen to Hugo Weaving to try and match it as closely.
Yeah, it sounded a little Hugo Weaving and a little Frank Welker's Dr. Claw. It's
yeah,
a nice mix of both.
A little bit, yeah, but it was a lot of fun to do, and that stuff, believe it or not, is super time consuming too, because
I
when
imagine so, because it's got to be freaking perfect and before they can put it in something.
well, that we don't have the notes from either the sound effects guy or from the Foley guy
Right.
from. So what we have to do is get the original clip, listen to it, kind of earball it, figure out what we have in the sound effects library that's close, and kind of blend that and make it sound as close to the movie clip as possible. And on that particular clip, it's pretty close. So it was a lot of fun to do. But probably about 13 hours for maybe a minute long clip. I mean, that's a lot of time to spend for a minute. But if you listen to it, I think all the elements are there and the voices are pretty close. And it was a lot of fun to do. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Now you're not. You mentioned you're not on the West Coast. So where do you work from? Because a lot of people are like, oh, you have to be in LA to do this job, and I'm living proof. And now there's another person who's doing this fairly well from a location far, far away from LA
Far,
studios.
far away. Yeah, I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, believe it or not, in the Midwest. And you're right. A lot of folks, including a lot of directors and producers, tend to feel that you have to be in LA or New York to kind of work with them. And really, with the technology today, you don't have to be. You can work from anywhere. I mean, we do stuff and send it all the way to China to be burned up to a chip or whatever. So it really isn't necessary with the quality of a phone patch or an ISDN line. I mean, you can work from anywhere with anyone.
I remember Paul Eiding is the original voice of Perceptor from Transformers, and he was telling a story how he was working on a video game while Bruce Willis was in Europe, and they worked together through the technology that we have now. And it's so funny to me because even for video game work, which you will never, as far as I know, you will never see all the actors for a video game in a booth together recording their lines for a video game because the lines are so much different than in a cartoon. The characters don't actually interact with each other normally because everything's recorded separately. You have sound effects to make, you have all this dying to do, attacking to do, so you do this big long run and everybody has to record differently and then they mix it together, but yet they won't send the auditions if you don't live in LA, which is just totally that's ridiculous to me.
Agree with you 100%. But it's a tough thing to kind of overcome that sort of feeling that the director has to have you in the room to direct you, because I can take direction over the phone as well as anybody, and I'm sure you can too. So
Yeah. So what all Transformers toys have you actually done? Because I know my Transformers fans are going to really want to know which one's you and which one's somebody else, or so I know for a fact from the links that you gave me that you did the voice of Heatwave. That's actually the Heatwave that I bought for my kids, and that Steve Bloom, the original voice of Heatwave, signed for them. So that one's I'm sure of. But what other ones have you done?
I brought one of the ones that I found in Target the other day. This is the Rescue Bots version of Optimus Prime. I don't know if you can see him there.
Oh, I can.
Yeah, and he's got all the sound effects we did right here in the studio, and all the vocal stuff is me doing my best version of Peter Cullen. We make an outstanding team. John Bailey and me.
I remember reviewing that toy. I have my own little parody reviews of figures. I review them in character, and so I have Optimus Prime reviewing himself, and of course he has to make fun of any toy that's not the original voice. He's like, "That sounds nothing like me. Who is this guy?"
Call me.
Exactly.
I think
I was available. I don't understand what happened. Call my agent.
I think what they're doing now is all the new product will have Peter Cullen. That was part of the audio session that I did that we kind of directed. So from now on, all the new stuff will have Peter Cullen on it. So
yeah, it's honestly really rare, especially for the movie stuff and even the main animated series stuff, to have anybody other than Peter Cullen on it. The only thing I've really see that has somebody else is usually their third-party toys. They're not even licensed Hasbro stuff, like the keychain. I'm not sure if you did that one or not. There's a keychain with an Autobot symbol. I'm pretty sure that was just a foreign, just got whoever, but it sounded nothing like Peter Cullen. And then the Rescue Bots figures, obviously. Now, did you do the voice of Bumblebee for Rescue Bots as well, or is that somebody else?
No, I'm not sure. I know we hired all the voice actors to come and do that stuff, so it all came through the studio, but that's been a while, and I don't remember the gentleman's name at the moment, but for the new film, for Transformers 4, Age of Extinction, we did a line of, I think there are 8 of 8 characters from the film. I can't tell you the names yet, but down the road we'll be able to talk about that. And so those will be out soon. And there's also a sort of a higher end version of one of the bad guys from the movie that will be available too. So it'll be neat stuff.
Very cool. So where would they find out more information about you? I'll put all these links in the bottom below, but for all those people too lazy to look in the video description, I'm sure you have a website or things you'd like to promote.
I do. The website is richardsellers.com, and you can go there and go to the product tab or the studio tab, and you can find out what we do, a little bit. There's audio clips, there's video clips. You can look at commercials that I've done or toys and hear the audio. You can see some of the audio greeting cards. I'm not sure. Are you a Madball fan?
I haven't been. I'm not a huge toy fan as it is. I have a very, very select few things. Most of the stuff I buy is for my kids. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, the Madballs now have a fashion line that's up in New York. They're doing a fashion show with high-end Madball attire.
Huh.
And I know we did some of the audio cards. They're creepy little scary guys that drool and fart and make kinds of creepy noises.
I remember those from the '80s a little bit, but I wasn't. So have they rebooted that too? They reboot everything else?
They've rebooted the toy line yet, but I'm sure that's coming. If the clothing line is successful, I'm sure you'll see toys reappearing. Very
cool, man. Thank you so much. Keep an ear out for the upcoming Age of Extinction toys. You'll be able to hear Rick on some of those, and check out his website. Listen to some cool clips, and this has been some information you probably didn't get to know about from Transformers fans and from voiceover fans alike. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll have this video out in no time at all. Thanks so much, Rick, for being on, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John.